Hey everybody, Wolf Lord Rho here. Before I begin today, a big thank you to Ash for the virtual gift voucher. Big thank you, my friend, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. But on to today. So the day has finally arrived. The Eternal Crusade debuts on the channel. The Black Templars have arrived. And they're not just taking a single upload, they are debuting with a whole week. Black Templars Week begins today. And where else to begin than with the first High Marshal himself, Sigismund, and his encounter with the Despoiler, Ezekyle Abaddon. Oh man, this is going to be good. Spoiler warning to begin, the events we are discussing today are from the novel Black Legion by ADB. As always, I really recommend you read the story for yourself first, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself. Not only that, but we help to support the great Games Workshop and Black Library, because without them, we don't have this amazing lore to talk about. I will put a link in the description as always. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Now, with the end of the heresy and the traitor legions being scoured from the Imperium, most believed the war had been won, their foe defeated forever. Sigismund, however, High Marshal of the newly founded Black Templars, knew otherwise. And so it was that when Abaddon finally led his first crusade from the Eye of Terror, some 1,000 years later, Sigismund and his Black Templars were waiting. And as the two fleets faced each other, Sigismund hails his enemy, face to face, at least via hololith, with Abaddon for the first time since the heresy. "Only you, Sigismund," he said to the Night King, "would pursue a grudge to the very borders of hell. That's a hatred so pure I can't help but admire it." But while Abaddon may have admiration for his counterpart, Sigismund has nothing but contempt for his traitor kin. With a warrior's salute, he answers the only way he can: "I suffer not the unclean to live." And man, I've got to say, these characters coming face to face after all this time, you just know it's one of the moments. Just one of those moments that will be talked about again and again for years to come, and you just can't help but feel the weight of it when you're reading. Refusing to indulge the traitors in conversation, Sigismund has only one more word to utter: attack. It doesn't matter that the Black Templars are vastly outnumbered. The traitors have dared to return to the Imperium, and the Emperor's champion will stand before them. And there's a great line as Abaddon is preparing to board the Eternal Crusader, where Kion utters the line, "I do not think anyone can be prepared to fight Sigismund." And it's just awesome. Just everything keeps building up to this moment, upping the tension until finally they stand face to face in the flesh at last. Dozens of slain bodies scattered around the deck, both parties already exhausted from battle alone just to get to this moment. But as both sides lower their weapons, Sigismund and Abaddon approach one another. Abaddon addressed the approaching knight. "I see time has blackened your armour, as it has ours." Sigismund stopped within blade reach, but neither of them lifted their weapons. "I looked for you," he said to my lord. "As terror burned in the fires of your father's heresy, I hunted for you, day and night. Always lesser men blocked my way. Always they died so that you might live. But I have never stopped searching for you, Ezekyle, not through all these long years." Abaddon's rage, ever his greatest weapon and most crucial flaw, had deserted him. I watched him through Amuriel's eyes, and he looked ravaged. "Don't make me do this," Abaddon said. "Don't make me kill you." He even cast his sword down with a crash of iron, such was his passion. "You cannot have lived all these centuries and seen nothing of the truth, Sigismund. The Imperium is ours. We fought for it. We built it with blood and sweat and wrath. We forged it with the worlds we took. The Empire is built upon foundations of our brothers' bones." The old knight stared impassively. "You lost the right to speak for the Imperium when you brought it to its knees. If you loved it as ardently as you claim, Ezekyle, you would not have pushed it to the brink of ruin." My lord overshadowed Sigismund, standing far taller in his Terminator plate. He gestured to the warriors around the room, taking them in with a single sweep of the talon. They were all in black, though fighting on different sides. "We are the Emperor's angels." It horrified me to hear the dark kindness in Abaddon's tone. When he needed his wrath more than ever, he was trying to reason with the one Space Marine that could never be reasoned with. We didn't rebel out of petty spite, Sigismund. We rebelled because our Lord and Master played us false. We were useful tools to bring the galaxy to heel. But he would have cleansed us from the Imperium the way he purged the Thunder Legion before us, wiping us all from history, like excrement from his golden boots. Sigismund was a statue, his face carved from coloured marble. I am sure some of you are convinced you fell from grace for those pure, virtuous ideals. You have had many centuries within your prison to repeat those claims to yourself, but they change nothing. I have seen Abaddon quell crowds and strike fear into entire populations, and I have seen him win over some of the most hostile enemies with the fire of his charisma. But in that moment, as he stood before Sigismund and came face to face with the avatar of the Empire we had burned and been forced to abandon, I believe he suffered a rare moment of conflict within. Sigismund was a man to whom duty and law were inseparable from living and breathing. He cared nothing for our righteousness. He did not call us arrogant. He did not even say we were wrong, because he cared nothing for the whys and wherefores of what we had done. We were traitors. We had betrayed our oaths. We had risen against the Emperor. That was enough. My lord, what a badass description of Sigismund that is. We've only just started Black Templar week, and I've never been a big Imperial Fist fan, I admit, but I'll be damned if I'm not a Black Templar one now. Sigismund cares nothing for the reasons they betrayed the Emperor. The fact that they did it is all that matters. And then, with an absolute boss line, "You keep speaking, Ezekyle. Do I look as though I am listening?" It's on. And as the two draw their swords, we get the first glimpse that Sigismund truly knows this is an unwinnable battle. He may slay Abaddon, but there's simply too many Black Legion. The battle will only go one way. And so he hands the sword of the High Marshals to one of his men, who carries it away to be saved for future days. And instead he draws the Black Sword. And how can that not endear you even more to Sigismund? He knows this battle is unwinnable, but he remains the champion of the Emperor, and he'll give his life gladly to give the Imperium time, to allow the rest of the people to muster their forces. Ezekyle Abaddon, son of Horus, War Master of the Black Legion, wielding his sword and the fabled Talon of Horus, versus Sigismund, son of Dawn, High Marshal of the Black Templars, and upon the Earth of Terror itself, named the Emperor's champion, wielding his legendary black sword. 40 traitor legions stand before just 9 Black Templars, but all remain silent, in awe as their champions duel. Blade against blade, sparks flying, the passionate fire of Abaddon versus the ice-cold loyalty of Sigismund. While Abaddon had emerged from the Eye of Terror unaged after 1,000 years, Sigismund was not so lucky, and age had most definitely taken its toll. But still, despite it all, Sigismund can stand toe to toe with the best warrior the traitor legions could throw at him. And he's in Terminator armor to boot. And Sigismund doesn't just stand, he attacks. Again and again, Sigismund relentlessly pressing the attack onto Abaddon, deflecting every blow the former son of Horus throws at him. But as Abaddon rages in his Terminator plate, Sigismund shows the first signs of tiring and steps back. And this only fuels Abaddon's aggression, pressing him on further, forcing himself onwards. Until too late, he realizes his mistake. Sigismund had baited him. Luring him in, he gave everything he had for one strike. It was over before I knew he had struck me. I couldn't breathe. I felt no pain, but I couldn't breathe. The black sword was buried to the hilt, like the old man had sheathed it inside my chest. Sigismund had buried the black sword through the chest of Abaddon. Somehow, whether thanks to his Terminator armor, the dark gods, or sheer force of will, Abaddon still lived, and he struck back at the now disarmed High Marshal, virtually ripping him in two with the talon of Horus. But unbelievably still then, Sigismund refused to die. With both champions now on the floor, blood pouring from their wounds, Sigismund reaches for his sword one more time. No, Abaddon murmured with brotherly gentleness through the running of his blood and the heaving of his chest. No, it's over. Sleep now, in the failure you have earned. The knight's fingertips scraped the hilt of his blade, so very close, yet he lacked the strength to move it even that far. His face was the bloodless blue of the newly dead, yet still he breathed. Sigismund, Abaddon said, through lips darkened by his own lifeblood. This claw has killed 2 Primarchs. It wounded the Emperor unto death. I would have spared it the taste of your life as well, if you could only see what I have seen. As I stared through Abaddon's eyes, I confess I expected the triteness of some knightly oath, or a final murmur in the Emperor's name. Instead, the ruined thing that had been the first captain of the Imperial Fists and High Marshal of the Black Templars spoke through a mouthful of blood, committing the last of his life to biting off each word, ensuring he spoke each one in shivering, sanguine clarity. You will die as your weakling father died. Soulless, honourless, weeping, ashamed. Sigismund's last word was also his last breath. It sighed out of his mouth, taking his soul with it. Oh man, what a simply amazing scene. Seriously guys, you have to go read it to get the real impact of it. It's just absolutely awesome. Sigismund gave everything to that one chance to kill Abaddon. That strike he buried the black sword through Abaddon's chest. But I guess Abaddon just had that famous plot armor. You know Abaddon lives, we all know Abaddon lives. But ADB manages to get you into that moment so much and draw you in that you can't believe Sigismund will lose. Despite his age, despite his slowness, he's still a warrior of legend. Man, it was good. And then after he fell to the Talon, still he refused to die. reaching for the blade once more. Just spine-tingling stuff. So well written by ADB, like I said. But man, what a start to Black Templar week. Just call me Marshal Rho from here on out. I am all in on the Black Templars. Oh my lord. Great stuff. But as always guys, what do you think of it? Obviously we knew Abaddon wouldn't die, but was you surprised in how close to death Sigismund took him? Despite being over 1,000 years old? And what about a fight in their prime? If Sigismund had caught him at the Siege of Terror, who would have proven the victor? Would Abaddon still have gone on to be the War Master for Chaos? Or would the Emperor's champion have laid him low? As always, drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love to read them. Man, I can't tell you how much this one scene has just got me so amped for the rest of this week. As always, a huge thank you to all my subscribers. Your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.